I think like everyone, I'm attracted to the negative more than the positive. But honestly, it's like a goal of mine to get offline a little more because I'm just like, it's not that I post a lot. It's just like I feel like we're all just like so addicted to our phones, and it's like scary. You know what I mean? But that's just for me personally.
Yeah, for me as well. I can resonate with that.
Yeah.
Who are the first people nowadays you're showing your music to when you write a new song? Who's the first person you think of wanting to show it to?
I show my wife. She's probably definitely one of the first people. I have like a couple friends that I trust that will give me like their honest opinion. If they don't like it or they do like it, they'll say, "Well, I don't like it."
What do you do when they don't?
I'll just ask them like, "What don't you like about it?" Because sometimes in the process of making music, you get so numb to it where you can't see it clearly anymore. Like you've just heard it so many times that it's just like background noise for you, and so you can't look at it for what it actually is. So it's helpful to show people who haven't heard it because you're seeing the first experience that you had months ago in someone else, and finding people you trust who will actually say. Now, I don't always agree. You know, my wife might love a song that I'm like, yeah, it's good, but I don't love it. Or, you know, the other way around. But it's like, I still know she'll tell me. And then, like, my friends, like one of my good friends, I know he likes rap a lot more than singing stuff. So he's always going to gravitate towards that kind of stuff. So, yeah. No, I definitely value opinions, but also there's just certain things you're not going to agree.
So it sounds like you seek the opinion of people who are not professional musicians or working in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, one of my best friends is who I make a lot of my songs with. So obviously I'm getting his feedback while we're working on it, and he's definitely a professional. But yeah, people who just like consume music. Because the problem, I feel like sometimes people, like a normal consumer is one of the most important opinions because it's like that's who's consuming your music. It's like it's great if you play it for, you know, the label or like the guy who, you know, other music producers or stuff, but sometimes they're just like so focused on things that no one listens to. So it's good to get someone who can just listen to music normally and isn't like, if you make movies for a living, every time you watch a movie, you're going to be like, why did they do that like that? Or, I like the coloring they did here. It's like if you're a normal person watching it, you're just like, I like this movie or I don't like this movie.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
I do think it's valuable to watch that and see how normal people react to it.
Yeah. Also, I would imagine that professionals are looking for mistakes, kind of.
Yes.
And non-professionals are more in the feeling zone of
which I think is actually more important. Like that happens to me all the time in my record process, is where like all I can hear are mistakes. I can't even listen to the song. All I can hear is what's wrong with it, or that's wrong, I gotta fix this, and I can't even listen to it. And I have terrible OCD. It's just kind of gotten worse in that area. So sometimes I cannot listen to the song until I fix what the problem was, because I'll just obsess about the problem.
Yeah.
And knowing I want to fix it, and it's like torture to listen to it. So it's really annoying.
Is that just with your own music, or can you enjoy other artists?
Yeah, it's just with my own music.
Okay.
Like I can listen to other artist music and I'm fine because it's not mine. I might have opinions like, I feel like the 808's too loud, like they should have mastered it different or whatever, but I'm like, I can listen to it fine.
Yeah.
It's actually frustrating because I'll like listen to stuff and I'll be like, I feel like my stuff, my mixing and mastering is what kills me in the process. People don't understand that world, but for me it's like torture because you make something, and mixing and mastering is super important, and if you don't get it right, it can change how your whole song sounds.
Yeah.
And so it's like torture for me because also I'm like, well, was this version better, was this version better, and then I get stuck in a loop where I'm like, I literally on this album sat in my car for like 10 hours straight, listening to like 2 or 3 different versions of the same song, trying to pick one. Because I was like, well, I like this better in this version, and I like this and this, and that's, yeah.
So, but it also sounds like you never get the satisfaction of, okay, this song is perfect now. I like it now. I got it right.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I'll get to the end and be like, all right, I feel good, and sometimes I don't. I think this process for this album just, it took me so long, and I was just having like some of my own personal issues, that it just like took too long, and so I got too numb to it, and then it made it very difficult to like make decisions and finish it. So, but yeah, it's my least favorite part of the process for sure, is mixing and mastering it and turning it in. Because then when you know it's over, when you turn it in, you're like, it's in, it's over.
Yeah, you can't work on it anymore.
Yeah,
it's in other people's hands. If somebody were to say, I'm sure a lot of people are saying it, but I love NF. I love listening to his music, and I also love, who are some artists that you would love to be named in a row with?
I mean, I'd rather not be named in a row. I feel like I'd rather, I don't know. I feel like, I'm not saying I'm like, oh, I have like, nobody in the world can do what I do. That's not what I'm saying. But I do feel like me and Tommy, who my buddy I've worked with for like 10 years, I do think we kind of like created a lane. Like, I don't think I got as big as I did because I'm the best. I think him and I like created a genre that didn't exist. So I really do feel like, especially nowadays in music, one of the biggest ways to become successful, even though like the game's changing a lot since like from when I started, but is to really be different. Like start something that other people aren't doing. You know, when I do a song that sounds more like a Drake record, it doesn't do that well for me. Not because the song's not good. It's just like, I think people expect different from me because I've done a different sound. It's like some people will say, oh, every song has strings and piano. It's like, you could say that about everyone's album, you know? You could go to Adele's record and be like, oh, the whole album is piano. But it's like, yeah, but who cares? I mean, that's like her style. Like, that's what she does. And for me, I feel like I've kind of created a lane where it's like, yeah, I like the sounds that I like, but I always feel like I mix it up enough. And I'm also doing something other people aren't doing. So I feel like people come to my music for that because they're like, yeah, I mean, we can get a normal hip hop song from other artists, but I'm doing more of a musical, theatrical thing. So.
Would you have a name in mind for your own genre?
No, I just describe it as like a movie trailer.
A movie trailer.
I don't know, just like part of it. Like it's like a story. It's like a journey. I like my records are very cinematic, but also like they just jump around so much. It's like, you know, Hope is there's a bunch of horror film sounds in there, but I'm rapping on hip hop kind of drums at one point, but also it's like an emotional string thing at the end. Like if you hear that instrumental by itself, you could put that in a movie. You'd have to mix it different without my voice on it, but you could do that. And then the next song, Motto, it's not like pop, but it's kind of like, it's catchy like that, but it also feels a little alternative with the way the drums are, you know. And then the song with Corday is like very hip hop.
Yeah, I want to talk about that later.
Yeah, I love that song. And then Mama's like super personal, super emotional. So yeah, it's just like the whole record is just kind of up and down, which I've always loved to do because... but it still all sounds like me. I think it like all connects.
Yeah. And what comes first in your process? Is it the instrumental or the lyrics?
Instrumental. Every time I try to do the lyric without the instrumental, it always like ends up Not always, but most of the time it's just not right. Because I move with whatever the music's making me feel, and I write according to that. Because it's crazy. Like, I'd love to show people how you can take the exact same lyrics and literally just change, the instrumental, and it will make you feel way different. Or it'll feel weird, like, why is he singing that over this? So, yeah, I definitely think the instrumental first is, like, the way to go. But I do have Gone, I think I started writing that, like, a cappella, that song with Julia Michaels, while I was, like, carrying my son outside. I was walking around singing that and coming up with melodies. I finished it, like, with the actual chords. But, so, yeah, sometimes it works out, but